Hi, today we're gonna make some tints and shades again. You're gonna need a pencil and paper, a lunch tray, a basket of paints, and of course, a paintbrush and water cup. For this painting, you get to decide whether you want your picture to be up and down, portrait style, or side to side, landscape style. Once you've decided that, your name and code need to go on the back. The first thing you need to decide is where to put your moon. The moon is going to be our source of light in this picture. I'm going to put mine up in the top right corner. If you make a mistake, just erase it. No worries. The moon is always in different phases. Sometimes there's a full moon, and it's a totally full circle, and it's really, really bright. Sometimes it is called a crescent moon, where it's C-shaped, and you can only see part of it. So you get to decide with your moon, what phase is it going to be in. I've decided I'm going to draw a crescent moon, like this. Next up is mixing tints. You should remember that tints are any color plus white. So you're definitely going to need the bottle of white paint, and then you get to pick your color. Don't choose black. Black will not work in this case. Choose any of the other colors. This time I think I'm gonna go with blue. Pour one pile each of white and your other color, and remember to be very responsible when you're pouring the paint. Try not to make the pile any bigger than a silver dollar or a large quarter. Okay, let's chat quickly about where we're going with this. Remember your tint and shade practice sheet where you started with white and then you added a little bit of color to it, more and more and more, as you painted stripes. Well, this is going to work just about the same way. We're going to start with white, but this time we're not just painting a stripe of white on the end of the paper. We're going to paint the moon white. So whether you have a crescent moon or a full moon, you need to fill it in with white paint. Okay, lovely. Looks good. Now it's time to mix our first tint. So I'm going to take a scoop of blue and mix it into the pile of white until there's no more blue or white left. It's just all that new, beautiful color. Wow, that tint of blue is gorgeous. I'm gonna take this, and instead of just painting a straight line of the tint, I'm going to trace the moon. Make sure you go nice and slow. Hold the paper with your other hand and trace your moon, whether it's a crescent moon or a full moon. When that first tint is done, it's time to make a darker tint. So add another scoop of your main color and mix, mix, mix till it's all new. And you are going to trace the moon shape again, but on the outside of your first tint. Check it out. All done with that tint, time to make a new one. Add another scoop, or two, if you don't see a big difference, just by adding one. Mix it all up and add another ring around that moon. Depending on where you put your moon and what shape it is, you might run into tough areas like this right here, where I just have to basically make the rest of that moon shape in my mind. See? I make sure that that tint I just mixed goes all the way around the moon, but stops at the edge of the paper. You guessed it, I'm making another tint, and it's time to trace around that moon again. Watching for the edges of the paper and making sure that I complete the moon shape with this tint. I don't want those peekaboo spots on your paper. If you get paint on the table and it's getting too crazy, just take a break and wipe it off. Now, here you can see that I have finished all of my tints. I think I can just paint a stripe of blue now, because I need to make sure that there's still room for my shades in the rest of the picture. If you ever need more of a color, just feel free to pour it. Just stay responsible. Okay, so this stripe here is just going to be blue. And then I'm going to start mixing my shades. Something you can do if you want to is blend those tints together a little more with a dry paintbrush. So what you're going to do is you're going to clean your paintbrush really well in the water and make sure you do the pinch and twist to dry it off. Then, really gently, you're just going to brush in between all of those tints you just mixed. Don't overdo it, because because you still want there to be a definite difference between one shade and the other, you know? You don't want to mix them all together and make them the same color. No. We want it to go from light to dark. So don't overdo this if you decide to blend. Let's move on to shades. You're going to need a pile of your main color and a pile of, you guessed it, black paint, because we're mixing shades. And little by little, we're going to add black paint to the blue paint and add more rings till we reach the corner of the paper. Guys, it really helps when you hold the paper with your other hand. Just saying. Depending on how fast your blue is darkening, you might want to be strategic about how thick you make each stripe. You know what I mean? So if you accidentally add too much black to that pile and it gets really dark really quick, you might want to paint a large stripe of the mistake, because then it fills in more space on the paper and you can keep adding black to it without reaching the end too fast or too slow. Just a tiny little bit of paper left, you can feel free to just paint it black so that we reach all the many different values of that color. Wow, it goes from a bright white moon, ever so slightly getting darker and darker, to black. Very cool. Make sure you put your painting in the drying rack, wipe your table, and wash your paint tray, please.